Welcome to Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Matt Besachio. Today, we'll be interviewing Marlborough High's boys basketball coach, Bryan Riley. Bryan, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us here
Thanks,
today.
Matt.
Now, for those who aren't familiar with you, can you explain to us a little about your playing history?
Yeah, I moved out to the Wachusett district when I was about 9 or 10, and I ended up going to Wachusett Regional High, and I played there 4 years under Coach Tom Gibbons, and we had a lot of success. He's one of the better coaches around here and still is. Then I was recruited to play at Nichols College, where I played for 4 years. I was a captain my senior year, and since then I've entered the coaching range, which I've enjoyed very much.
Now, explain to us how you went from coaching here and where you came from.
Yeah, well, when I graduated college, I wasn't planning on getting into it, but I get a call from my former coach, Tom Gibbons, and he said, "Hey, do you want to coach the freshman team?" And I was only about 22 at the time, 23, and I said, "Yeah, sure." And so that's kind of how it started for me, and eventually I was able to move up to the JVs, where I was there for 3 years. And when this job came about, I thought it was a good opportunity for myself. As growing up, my Uncle Rich was the athletic director here, so I always kind of knew what Marlborough kids were about. And they had a few rough seasons, and I just thought it was a good opportunity for myself to venture out and try to get my own gig and try to be a part of something bigger than myself. And I was able to get the job, and it's kind of taken off from there, and it's been a great 3 years.
Great. Now, you're coming from Wachusett.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain the difference between the cultures, say, like a Wachusett, compared to what you deal with on a daily basis here in Marlborough?
Yeah, I mean, kids are kids, and in basketball, for me, has always been the same. You preach and you teach the same things. The level of athleticism and the type of kids you get can be different from town to town, but I would say it's kind of similar in the sense that we have tough kids, and we have kids who enjoy playing the game and love being a part of our team. The difference would be, I would say, I think we get a little bit more athletic kids out here, kind of more of a city mentality at that, and it's been a real joy to be here.
So what would you say is your particular coaching style, and what do you feel is the best approach teaching high school athletics?
I think, to answer your first question, our coaching staff, I think we preach defense first. I think any team that I've been a part of in the past, coaching or playing, it's always been a defensive mentality. This game is won on that end, so that's what we try to communicate to the kids. That we try to get them to play hard and defend smartly, and I think that's been our staple over the past few years, is a defense first, team offense second, because all great championship teams defend, and that's kind of the approach we take on a day-to-day basis. And what was your second question?
Oh, the second part was, what's your particular coaching style?
How we communicate to the kids is, through drills and fundamentals. I think the most important thing for kids this age, especially in high school, are the fundamentals. I think you see a lack thereof around there in the youth leagues of not developing footwork and correct mechanics and squaring up to the hoop, and even as simple as passing. I think even with our varsity kids, we tend to go back to the fundamentals and back to discipline play, and that's kind of how we teach this game, and that's kind of the only way I know how to teach it.
Now, when you're talking about discipline, do you carry that out in an approach where you will be a little bit more boisterous with the players? Do you take the approach of maybe yelling at times, or do you try to be a little bit more toned down?
We try to communicate in the manner that we see fit. I think some kids need to hear it a little bit louder than others. I think every kid, just like I'm a teacher, every kid you teach differently, every kid you coach differently, I think. But collectively we have the same rules, and they know where we draw the line in the sand in terms of what they do on the court. I think the only time we really get angry or we tend to get loud is when we're not playing hard or playing smart and not doing the things that we can control. We're going to miss shots. We're going to have bad offensive games, but I think that comes back to the defensive mentality approach where, anyone can play defense. It doesn't take the best basketball player in the world, and they understand that, and they've been great the past 3 years with it. We've really had 3 great teams that we love coaching, and it makes it that much more enjoyable for us as coaches.
From an offensive standpoint, what brand of basketball does Marlborough play? Now, do you play a fast paced, up-tempo game in transition, or do you like to slow it down a little bit and set things up in the half-court set?
I would say overall we like to try to get up and down, but I think it's particular to the team we're playing. If we feel that it's advantageous for us to slow it down and make it a half-court game, we try to do so. And if we think we can really push the ball and get some hoops in transition, we do so. I think for us it's a preparation thing. I think the way we play in our style, where we take a defensive approach, it allows us to play multiple ways and win multiple ways. So I would say overall, we really, I think we have a lot of athletes that can get up and down. That's where we play, and if we can, we do it. If not, we're more than willing to sit in the half court and play.
But it really just depends on who your particular opponent is
Yeah.
that night.
Yeah.
What'll be best to help defeat that particular.
Yeah, I mean, we run a lot of sets. But we say the kids, if we don't have to run offense, then that's even better. We try to encourage them to push with the pass, get out in transition, run your lanes. But sometimes, particular games don't allow us to do so. So, I think we just, whatever it takes to win the game, that's what we're going to do.
Absolutely. Now, your team was able to advance the state final in 2014. Now, what did that do for you as far as professionally, and how does that help the program going forward?
Yeah, I think for me, professionally, I don't know how much it did for me. I think it was more for the kids. I think at this level particularly, it's all about, we always talk to them, it's their team, it's not ours. We're just the guiding coaches here in terms of what we expect and laying down expectations. But for them, it's their experience. It's how they prepare for games. It's the moments that they'll remember, and we always preach, enjoying the process, not the prize. And for our coaching staff, it's more enjoyable to see their smile on their faces after all the work they put in, and they were able to get that opportunity in the state championship. It's more about them, less about us, always.
It seems like you really give them ownership of the process. You're just facilitators, as opposed to being the authoritative figures that really control everything.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about being honest around here. We're always honest with our players. We sit down and talk to them one-on-one individually, probably 4 or 5 times a season to communicate. And, it's at the end of the day, they're the ones playing. So, if they feel as though that they have just as much ownership in the team's success as we do, then I think that makes us that much better from a chemistry standpoint, from a commitment standpoint, from a commitment, to each other standpoint. I think it makes it that much better. So.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
That's going to do it for this episode of Coach's Corner. We'll see you next time.